Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophets Speak. Today we continue our study of Sefer Mishlei, the book of Proverbs. We are about to begin a new section today with chapter 10. As I described back in the first podcast, the Sefer Mishlei is divided into several sections, and it's obvious that this is the beginning of another one. As the first words, the first verse, it says, Mishlei Shlomo. These are the Proverbs of Shlomo of Solomon. And as we know, in the first 9 chapters, the focus was on following the path of wisdom and why one should follow the path of wisdom and rather than follow the path of folly and foolishness. Wisdom leading to ethical, moral, proper behavior, and foolishness leading to behavior that takes advantage of others, that lies, that's arrogant, etc. Those are the first 9 chapters. The 10th chapter, the structure from here on for this section is a little bit different, but the themes are very similar. Again, we are comparing the person who follows the path of wisdom and the person who follows the path of folly. But each verse is kind of a it compares a dichotomy. It says, the wise person has X, the foolish Y. The wise person X, the foolish Y. Back and forth in these short kind of bursts of wisdom from Shlomo, from Solomon himself. Mishlei Shlomo, let's get started. The Proverbs of Solomon, Ben Chacham Yisamach Av. A wise son makes his father happy, uvein kisil tugas imo, and the foolish son it brings grief or brings sorrow or brings anxiety to his mother. Why the father and the mother? It could be just a poetic device. It could have just as easily have said it the other way around. But many commentaries understand this, that when the son is wise and follows the right path, his father, who's, in a more traditional household, the father is more focused on the outside world, so to speak, on the business dealings and the work and the career and how the son interacts with the wider community, while the mother is more associated with what is happening in the home. When the son is wise, the father gets the tremendous enjoyment in public of his son, who is wise and respected, etc. And when the son is a fool, he stays home and hangs out in the house, the classic couch potato. And the one who interacts with him the most and has the most grief from this behavior is the mother. That would be another way of understanding it. Of course, as with all of the Proverbs, everyone studying this, everyone listening will have their own approach. They all are valid, and that is the point of a proverb. So I'm just giving you my suggestions, which are based on what most of the commentaries state. Lo yo'ilu, this is verse 2, otzros resha. The treasures that one gathers through vice, through wickedness, through rishos, through resha, lo yo'ilu, do not help one. Utzedaka, however, righteousness, tatzil mimava, saves one from death. This is a reference to the classic idea, which we find reflected in real life, that when one gathers wealth through devious means, through lying, through cheating, etc. Now, not necessarily always, but many times, probably most of the time, what happens is one ends up losing it all in shame, getting arrested, getting caught, or the public recognizing who you really are. So it might feel temporarily good, but ultimately, lo yo'ilu, they do not help you. Remember, of course, that Shlomo, when we studied Kohelet, the same Shlomo, the book of Ecclesiastes, understands the vanity, of course, of seeking wealth. But over here in Mishlei, we have a different idea. Wealth is not looked upon as a bad thing. Rather, wealth is looked upon as something that when acquired properly can be put to good use, one can enjoy, and there's proper purpose and point to it, whereas tzedakah, and therefore when one is righteous, now tzedakah here could also mean another traditional understanding of the word tzedakah is charity, saves one from death. Meaning, of course, it doesn't mean that if one gives charity, they'll never die, but it means, it's the kind of charity when one gives of oneself, when one lives a righteous life, and when one acquires his or her wealth through proper means, then that brings you life. Till the end of your life, you can always be proud of what you have. You never have to worry that around the corner you're going to get caught. People are going to catch on to your dishonesty, etc. It brings you life, true life, a life that's worth living. Lo yar'iv Adonai nefesh tzadik. God will not allow the soul of the righteous person to be hungry. Does this mean that every righteous person is always satiated and always has what he needs? Not really, but it does mean that the nefesh, the soul of the tzaddik, will never be hungry. He will always know that he's on the right path, and a truly righteous, good person, when you help others, others will help you. Such is the way of the world. We live in a world where if one is righteous, if one treats others properly, then in general, one can rely on others to help them when they are in need. And through a world that runs this way, God set it up so that if we are righteous, if we are good, we are not likely to go hungry. V'havat rishaim yehadov. But now havat means the existence. Like havaya is something that is, right? It could also mean their desire, depending on how you translate it. Different translators look at it differently. But I'm going to say the havat, the very existence of the rishaim, of the evil people, yehadof, he pushes away. So he said God does not allow the soul of the righteous to go hungry, but the very existence of the evil person, he pushes away. He's not interested in helping. That person is on his own, without God, lost. Rush osech a hand that cheats, a hand that lies, kafremia. Someone who steals and cheats, lies in business, lies in their interactions with others, cheats others, rush oseh. In the end, he becomes poor. Nobody wants to help him. Nobody wants to lend him money. Nobody trusts him. V'yad charutzim ta'ashir. But if someone is a charutz, if someone is diligent and works hard for his money and doesn't try to achieve what he has through manipulating others, through lying, through cheating, etc., ta'ashir, he is the one who ultimately will get wealthy. Oger bakayetz bein maskil, the son who understands, the one who is wise, he will collect, he will put away food in the summer during the harvest season. When he's harvesting his crops, he'll make sure to store things away in good times so that when bad times come, he has what to eat. But nirdom bakatzir, however, during the time of the harvest, bein mevish, the son who is shameful, the one who is not acting properly, he is shameful. He's the one who in the first verse was the shame and the anxiety of the mother, right? That one will fall asleep during the harvest time because right now he has what to eat. He'll fall asleep. He won't prepare for later. Birachot lerosh tzadik, blessings are always going to be poured on the head of he who is righteous. People bless him. People want to be with him or her. People want to help. People want to be around them. People are always blessing them, praising them. Ufi rishaim, but the mouth of the evil people, right? Their own mouths are constantly yichaseh chamas. Not only are they not getting praised, they're constantly trying to talk their way out of things, trying to make themselves look good because they're covering up for those things which they have gotten through ill means, through chamas, through taking advantage of others. Chamas is a type of stealing which one obtains through taking advantage of others, using your power, whether it's physical power, political power, or some other form of power in order to take from others and enrich yourself. That is what Hamas means. And I've repeated this numerous times throughout this podcast. Something to remember. And this is the ultimate evil, Hamas. Zecher tzaddik livracha, the remembrance of a tzaddik, the memory of a righteous person will always be for a blessing. People will always remember that person. He was the good guy. She was a nice woman. They were good people. They will always be remembered for blessing, and for time immemorial they will be remembered for blessing. However, V'shem Risha'im Yerkav, the name, the reputation of evil people, Yerkav, will rot in hell. Maybe for a few moments they might be riding high because people need them, because they're afraid of them or whatever, but ultimately their name, their reputation will rot away in history. Chacham Leiv, so someone is smart, someone who is intelligent, someone who has wisdom in his heart, true wisdom, Yikach mitzvos, he will take in his hands mitzvos, commandments, meaning he will do that which God has told him to do, live the way God has told him to live. Yikach mitzvos means he will also accept command. It takes humility to accept that sometimes that we have to do what we're supposed to do what we were commanded to do, as opposed to do whatever we feel like. Ve'avil sifasayim yilabeit, but the person who has lying lips, yilabeit, he will end up falling. He will end up crashing down, because the ultimate, anyone who amasses his wealth, who amasses his fortune through ill-gotten means, through taking advantage of others, is always going to be an avil sfasayim, always constantly trying to cover it up with his words, just like we just said, Ufi Rishayim in verse 60, constantly lying, constantly twisting the truth, constantly trying to say things the way they aren't, because they're constantly trying to cover up for what they've done, for what they do. Holech batom yelech betach. But if you go with perfection, if you go properly, if you walk uprightly, he will go securely. He'll always know. If you always do the right thing, you're never going to have to be worried, oh no, maybe someone's going to find out what I did. Because what you've done is fine. What you've done was right. You don't have to worry all the time that maybe you'll get caught. But a person who makes his ways crooked, makes his path crooked, yivada, it will be found out one day. You know, you think you might be in secret now, but at some point, you will get caught. Koretz ayin, he who winks his eye. Winking his eye is an image. We've had this several times so far in Mishlei. You know, who claims one thing, says one thing, but actually does another, and winks his eye and pretends to others, oh, don't worry, it's fine, but it's not fine. Yitein atzaves, right? In the end, what will that maneuver of winking the eye do? It will bring him to sadness. It will bring him to sorrow. Ve'evil sefasayim, and again, the same term, one who is crooked with his mouth, who's constantly lying, yilabeit, he will crash and fall. Mikor chayim pi tzadik, the mouth of a tzaddik, though, the one who is righteous, the things that he says, the way he speaks, the way he deals with others, mikor chayim is a source of life. Makar is like a bubbling fountain of life, a source of water, life-giving water. Makar Chaim Pi Tzadik, because he gives life not just to himself, not just to his family, but everyone around him. When he speaks, he helps people. When he speaks words of comfort, words of compassion. That's what a tzaddik. He's not making up stories to cover up his own nonsense. However, Ofi Risha'im, again, the mouth of the Rasha, the mouth of the wicked people, Yechaseh Hamas, he's constantly trying to cover up for his ill-gotten gains. Sinat orer midonim, hatred. The bottom line of this all is there hatred between you and other people, or is there love between you and other people? If there's hatred, all that's going to do is going to stir up fights between midanim, constant fights, constant arguments, constant lawsuits. You're constantly being sued. You're constantly suing other people. That's what hatred leads to. I'm sorry, but love covers over all sins. If there's true love, then there can be forgiveness. Then even if one does wrong someone else, with love you can get past it. With love you can work past it. Besifsei navon. Within the lips of he who understands, what will you find? Timatzei chachma, you will find wisdom. A person that understands will always speak with wisdom. V'shevet legav, but a person who is chasar leiv, a person who is lacking wisdom, who is lacking understanding, shevet legav will end up with a whip to his back. Chachamim yitzbenu da'as, right? Wise people are always always storing knowledge. They're storing it. It's yitzpenu. It is hidden away. They're not walking around the street trumpeting their wisdom. They hold it. They use it for when it's proper, for when it's appropriate. Remember, their mouths are full of compassion. Their mouths are full of truth. Their mouths are not full of bragging about all the things that they supposedly know. However, umfi evil, the mouth of the fool, michita kirova. If you listen to the mouth of a fool, destruction is very close, coming behind. If you listen to what they have to say, hon ashir kiryas uzo. The wealth of the wealthy man, the treasure of the wealth of a rich man, Kiryat Uzo, is his strongly built up capital city, with the fortified city. What this is coming in to say is that he's not, Mishlei, Shlomo is telling us that I'm not telling you not to amass wealth, but I'm telling you to amass wealth. And in this case, wealth doesn't mean necessarily being rich. It means amass the things that you need to be secure in your life. There's nothing wrong with that. Mishlei is not teaching us to be I'm sorry, it's not the right, I was about to say miser, not the right word. Mishlei is not coming to teach us that there's something inherently wrong with accumulating wealth. It's coming to tell us the way it's accumulated, the way it's used. And so the hon ashir is kiryat uzo. It is good to have that wealth. It is helpful. It is protective against all kinds of problems in this world, right? Mechitat dalim reisham, and the destruction of the poor is their poverty. Poverty is not good. Poverty is not a good situation to be in. You want to be in the situation of wealth. So therefore, follow my advice. Be wise, because if you be wise, be kind, be compassionate, and most of all, be honest. Repeatedly, verse after verse, stop making up stories to cover up your dishonesty. Be honest in the first place. Gather in the summer during the harvest season so that you have for the winter. Be honest with others, and then you will, as the next verse says, Pu'ulat Sadik L'Chayim. Those actions of a person who is righteous leads to life, brings to life. However, Tivuat Rasha, but in the end, what is the gain? What is the Tivua? The Tivua is often means the produce, right? What is the produce of a Rasha, of an evil person? L'chatas, it is always being used for sin. He's always paying people off to be quiet. He's always paying people off to get out of trouble. He's always, or he's using his ill-gotten gains for ill purposes, for bad purposes. The Tivuas Risham is always l'chatas, whereas what a tzaddik does, what a righteous person does, leads to life. That's verse 16, which is halfway through this chapter. I'm going to stop here, and we will finish the rest of chapter 10 in the next podcast. I really hope you learned something. I hope you were inspired a little bit. I really appreciate that you joined me today to study this incredibly beautiful book of Mishlei together. I wish you everyone a wonderful, wonderful day.